When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut.
When I get married, I'd like to have 2 children.
My heart's desire is to see my daddy. I don't want to answer that.
This is no ordinary outing at the zoo. It's a very special occasion. We've brought these children together for the very first time. They're like any other children, except that they come from startlingly different backgrounds. We brought these children together because we wanted a glimpse of England in the year 2000. The shop steward and the executive of the year 2000 are now 7 years old.
In 1964, World in Action made 7 Up, and we've been back to film these children every 7 years. They are now 49.
Is it important to fly? Yes.
Tony was brought up in the East End of London.
I want to be a jockey when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a jockey when I grow up.
At 14, he was already an apprentice at Tommy Gosling's racing stable at Epsom. At 15, he'd left school.
This is a photo finish when I rode at Newbury. I'm the one with the white cap. I was beaten a length and a half, a third, and had a photo finish.
Do you regret not making it?
Well, I would have given my right arm at the time to become a jockey. But now, well, I wasn't good enough.
What will you do if you don't make it as a jockey?
I don't know. If I knew I couldn't be one, I'd get out of the game. Wouldn't bother.
What do you think you would do then?
Loan on taxes.
At 21, he was on the knowledge, and by 28, he owned his own cab.
It's surprising who you pick up, you see. I once met Kojak, I picked him up, and Warren Mitchell, Alf Garney, you know.
Have you got a girlfriend?
Nope.
Would you like to have a girlfriend?
Nope.
You understand 4Fs? Find them, feed them, and forget them. But with the other F, I'll let you use your own discrimination. I mean, this one, I tried to do the 3Fs, but I couldn't forget her.
I went to a discotheque. He was in the pub earlier on, and that afterwards we went to a discotheque and Tony was staying there. And from there, that was it. Couldn't get rid of him.
We have our ups and downs, no more than anyone else.
I think you've got to work at a marriage. I think all marriages go through stages. You can't stand each other. You go through, you know, I think, oh, God, I hate him. I wish he'd get out. I do.
We've been to the edge of the cliff and looked over a couple of times, and we've always seemed to sort of go back. We've sort of stayed the course. But I must say, I mean, it's not easy being married.
By 42, Tony and Debbie had left the East End and moved to Woodford in Essex.
We were going to put a conservatory here. But if you look along here, we'll put a patio in and the pond for the fish. But the only thing I ever done was I planted them 3 trees. Well, since you was last here, Michael, we had small trees, if you remember. Now, they've sort of grown a bit.
So why are the trees singed?
We was burning some rubbish at the back. It set light to the tree. And there we all were, sort of like throwing all buckets of water over it, and sadly enough, it's singed the tree.
At 49, they'd taken out a second mortgage on the London house and sunk the money in a holiday home in Spain.
I'm very pleased with the house. I said the progress we made in the little space of time that we've had to work here and get it all sort of ship-shape is, I think it's done, really, to the testament of my wife, Debbie.
As per usual.
Well, Debbie went to the furniture shop and she sort of picked all the furniture. It's all, what you see is all Debbie's choice of furniture and her really sort of style. The floor, we were led to believe that we had a choice of tiling, whether it's a light beige or a light brown.
That's the first I've heard that we had a choice, because I would have had plain.
Well, I've just gone into the neighbour's house and they've got all plain.
Well, there you go.
And I asked him, and he said it was the choice that we had when we suggested to buy it. So that was where the mistake was made.
Because you don't listen.
Say that again?
You don't listen.
Can't hear you.
Tony and Debbie still work as London cabbies.
We sold our cabs because we're going to spend more time out here, so it's not really conducive to own the cab, is it?
No.
Because the cab will be left out on the drive, or, you know, it's pointless. So we just hired a cab independently now.
I'm working harder now than what I really ever have done, but I feel that it's for something.
Tell me, son, what do you want to be a cab driver for, mate? All the holidays in Spain every year, but son, it's hard work out here.
Come on,
mate.
you're not reaching me yet.
Not getting to
No,
me.
you're not getting to me. All right? Now, be bigger. Dominate me. All right?
Son.
At 28, Tony was taking acting lessons. Now he supplements his income with occasional TV jobs.
Oi! That's all I got on me. Mate, if I had a pound for every time I've heard that, I'd be a rich man. Get him! A guy contacted me from my agency, from my acting agency, and I got in touch with him, and he writes plays. And he's been inspired by your Up programmes, which go all around the world, and he saw it. And we got together and we wrote a biographical play all about my life story. We took one of these episodes over to New York and done it on a play reading. And I got up playing the lead role, you know, and it just blew the roof off. And we're looking for someone to pick it up and put it on stage.
Would everybody please sit round now, get on with their work? I don't want to see any backs to me. Shouldn't be anybody turning round. Tony, do you hear as well? Go on with your work in front. Tony, don't turn round again.
There's only one ambition, and really, I want a baby son, and if I see my baby son, that is my ambition fulfilled. No one knows that, only you now.
Debbie and Tony have 3 children, Nikki, Jodie and Perry.
Nicky's doing quite well. He's still a French polisher, and it's an old-time profession, as you know. And he's working for a firm, and he's very happy in his work, isn't he?
He's been brought up very respectful to people, very well-mannered person. He's a hard worker. Jodie,
I mean, at this present time, she just relies on us a great deal. And she's been very scarred with a relationship that she was in. Her relationship with her first love of her own life was very turbulent, but he's the father of her kid. We're going to make sure she gets through it. And it's been quite a strain on Debbie and I to see her in that sort of situation. I'm very proud of Perry as well. She got in the post office, and that's what she's doing, Postman Pell. That's our Postman Pell. She loves it. She, you know, she works hard. She's up at 4 in the morning. She's got a lovely boyfriend. He loves her more than you can imagine, and he's certainly got my blessing. Big lad, very nice guy, loves his football, you know, typical East End kid. Head up, son. Too quick. We are the backbone for the kids, aren't we? They are.
Yeah, but I think your parents are anyway. You know, your parents are... You never visualise anything ever happening to your parents, do you? You think they're there forever.
Tony's 5, Harry's 4, nearly 5, and little Prue, she's nearly 2.
No, 3.
She's 3!
Oh.
I'm an hands-on granddad. I love my grandchildren more than you can imagine. I'd say not my own kids, but in a different way. It's an obsession of love, you know?
You see these grandchildren, and they're part of you.
No, Granddad,
They're hard work. at times.
We don't mind that, Michael. I mean,
you slow down and you don't realise you're slowing down.
All I understand is dogs' prices, girls, knowledge, road, streets, squares, and mum and dad and love. That's all I understand. That's all I want to understand.
By the time he was 35, both Tony's parents had died.
I'm at the graveside, I'm talking to her, you know, all little things, and I've got all images running through my mind, saying like, Tony, go downstairs, get me 5 weights, you know, 1 and a penny. And I used to go in the shop, she used to throw the cotton in an air curler over the landing, and I used to tie the cigarettes on this bit of cotton, and she used to pull them up. And she goes, and I see her in the end, thanks, Tone, see you after school, be good. And that's the way it was.
We knew my dad was terminally ill, although, having said that, it still didn't make it any easier for us. When my dad died, I took it really hard.
Nellie Rose is my mum, her name is Nell, and her mother's name's Rose. So my Jodie and all the family were conjuring up some names that we could name it. Jodie at the fin here said Nellie Rose, the name of her mum's.
Sometimes on Saturday morning I go to the pictures. Sometimes with my friend and sometimes with him. You don't. I do. You don't.
And why did you fall in love with him?
Don't know.
I don't know how. I don't know you put up with me for so long.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how I stand him. Who's to say in another 10 years, me and him might have split up.
Quite possible.
You know, you don't know.
When we filmed Debbie and Tony at 42, the marriage seemed to be in trouble.
I'm not proud at all to say this, but situations arise that I have had regretful behaviour various times, but through...
You got caught? And that was it?
That's you know, I'm not lying about the fact, you know, I mean, you can always cover it up and suggest other things, but it's, you know, it's true and let it be true.
You caught him?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, you know, it was touch and go whether we carried on from it or not. I did feel that, you know, I wish things that were said then was never said. I mean, Perry wouldn't go to school for 3 weeks. She wouldn't go out the door, you know, she was quite upset about it all, and, you know, and I think it was a big shock because, you know, you are their mum and dad.
The Tangerines, aren't they? You know, we got on from there, it's sort of 7 years down the line, and we're as happy as can be now.
Carol told me to get me knickers here, she said they're better than Marks and Spencer's.
Let's hope they're easy to get off. Hello. There's 96% English here who bought all their houses in Spain, and this is where they shop every Saturday. It's just like an old Petticoat Lane market sort of years ago. How much all that, darling? What the cuesto? What I like is so relaxing down here, Mike. You just walk along and things are happening, the music's playing, there's an English pub there you can just go in, and it's really home from home, but with the weather. From here, it's about 200 yards along. There's going to be all commercial units here. My intentions would be to turn one of these units into a sports bar. We're putting all tellies round in a sports sort of way, like football shirts and all that, memorabilia. This is tomorrow for me. This is my future here. If I happen to get some sort of business and I was to bring my Nikki or bring my Jodie and my Perry out here, then I'll have the best of both worlds. I'll have my family here, plus the kids could be schooling here.
Well, they can get what they want, can't they? If you've got to work for it, and it's them who can just ask for money and get it. They can buy what they want.
I feel that the economy will bust within 5 years because people like myself have been giving and giving all the time. Hard-working family type of people who have contributed everything under this Tony Blair's government. We have to work, we have to maintain the mortgage, we have to bring up the families. And I feel that I've had enough. I've had enough of working all these hours. Congestion charging, £40 a week now, zero tolerance with the police with parking tickets. We're paying. You know, someone's getting it at our expense.
Does it make you sad that you're going to have to leave your roots, your country?
I can't even go now in the East End now to have a drink. The pubs are literally closing down. It's other cultures are buying all my old tradition up. Everyone likes their own culture, and I'm no different from anybody else. But being in England, if you suggest this, you are targeted as, you know, an oddball, or, oh, you mustn't say that.
Safety by numbers, eh? Is that what they call it?
On the contrary, I would say I'm sorry. If you don't like it, it's not to be offensive, it's just to let you know that my way of being brought up was all my own people, and I like being with my own people, and I'm a traditionalist. How much do you want to play for? £5?
10 pesetas.
Oh!
What's the dream now?
Is to be happy, which I am. I'm happy now, being healthy. We're all my family. We all want happy and health for our family. Anything else, there'll be a bonus. And that's all I really want. And that's all I'm really after. I don't want no more or less than that.
Oh, unlucky turn.
Unlucky.
Some people from Africa come here, but when they go, they put their clothes on.
Jackie, Lynn and Sue all grew up in the East End of London and were friends in the same junior school.
With this school, we do metalwork and woodwork, and the boys do cookery.
We had a teacher at school that his favourite ploy was all you girls want to do is walk out, get married, have babies and push a pram down the street with a fag hanging outside your mouth.
I think that we all could have gone in any way that we wanted to at the time within our capabilities. I mean, we chose our own jobs. But we only had a limited choice anyway. I mean, truth be told, I mean, we didn't have the choice of private education because they couldn't have afforded it anyway.
It changes too much, Mike. Our lives are changing far too much. All of us.
Well, to be honest, when you look at the 7-year-old us, it's difficult to believe it is us. I mean, I you know, it's like it's someone else you're looking at. This little cute thing. I mean, I can't remember being
cute.
I would like to get married when I grow up. Well, I don't know what sort of boy, but I think one that that's not got a lot of money, but has got some money, not a lot.
Have you got any boyfriends?
That's personal, isn't it?
By the time she was 21, Jackie had married Mick and moved to the outskirts of London.
It was horrific, really, what happened to the wedding cake. I mean, it was sitting right sort of in between Mick and myself. And suddenly the columns just completely gave way and it just all sort of fell into one. I would say, on average, 19 is probably too young.
By 35, she was divorced.
We decided ourselves, I mean, just between the two of us, we knew it wasn't going any further. We both knew, I think, that at the end of the day we would be happier leading our own lives.
Hands, joking.
She and Mick had decided early on that they didn't want children.
Feeling like wringing his neck.
Basically, I would say because I'm far too selfish. I enjoy doing what I want, when I want and how I want, and certainly at the moment I can't see any way around that. Oh, and this one on. Here we go. Oh yeah. Had a brief but very sweet relationship, the result of which was Charlie. Oh, kiss a cuddle. I don't really want Charlie to be an only. I'd love him to have brothers and sisters, but not necessarily loads of them. Just, you know, one would do, actually. Right, Charlie, there's yours. Oh, please eat it all up.
No.
And James.
Thanks, Mum.
Good boy. And last but not least, gonna eat that one for me?
After her relationship with Charlie's father ended, she met Ian, and they moved to Scotland and had 2 more sons.
James,
By 42, they had split up.
Lee!
At 49, despite the split, the family all live in the same area of Scotland.
Lee and Charlie's birthdays are only a month apart, so we tend to do something in between so that we celebrate both their birthdays. So we usually go somewhere like an amusement park.
That Lee's got a lot of nerve, hasn't he?
And a little bit of bravado, I think, because his older brothers had said no. I think he decided, I'm going to do this one.
Has Charlie shown any interest as to his father?
No. Ian's his father, as far as he's concerned. He knows, and the other boy knows, the whole family know, that biologically he's not. But in every respect, Ian is his father. Always has been. He just done everything with him, been everything to him, taught him everything.
What would you do if you had lots of money? About me, £2. I would buy myself a new nice house, you know, one that's all nice and comfy.
Oh, quite like that, yeah.
Jackie suffers from rheumatoid arthritis and lives off disability benefit. How is money for you?
Could do with more, as just about everybody would say. But we manage. We cut our costs accordingly. You've got X amount, and that's what you do. I can imagine you.
I mean, has Liz got anything to do with that?
Liz has always got something to do with that. Ian's her son. But she also says that I'm here, and she's got 3 grandchildren here, that she loves dearly, and she will be there for us. James has just had the trip to Alton Towers with the school. Now suddenly she'll say, you pay the trip, I'll give him his spender money, which is brilliant because it just makes life easy for me.
Now you've moved in the last 7 years. Tell me about that.
Because of the arthritis that I've got, I needed to come to the ground floor. And this particular area that I'm in now is an area that I like. It's close to Liz, my mother-in-law, so from that point of view it suits. The school's across the road for the boys, good neighbours, which makes a difference wherever your property is. It's how the East End used to be about 30 years ago. The doors used to be open, the neighbours all watched for each other. If one neighbour had a problem, the other neighbours helped out. Well, that's how it is here. That's what this place is like. It's like a village. We deal with the problems with the boys as and when they arise. I mean, you've always got the problem of drink and drugs and smoking and not smoking and, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, Charlie's of an age now where I can't mother him, but I can't be his friend either. He wants to work, he wants to leave school and he wants to get an apprenticeship to car mechanics. But the chances of him doing that are probably very slim.
Somebody gets too much chat.
Take your time, babe. You'll make yourself ill.
Okay.
James tends to be a bit of a computer freak. He wants to produce and make his own games.
That looks just like your brain. Mush.
Lee tends to be like the outspoken one, and it's a bit like I was at his age, really. In fact, he's very much like I was at his age.
Is that a worry?
I think that's terrible. How dare you say that to me? Is that a worry? Why would that be a worry? Do you think I've turned out badly?
No, but sometimes when you look at yourself, you don't always see things you like in yourself, and then you see them in your child and you think...
I don't, yeah, but I never said he'd picked up all of my traits. I actually think he's picked up probably the best.
If you're not going to play nice, right, go to bed then.
He has a temper that isn't as bad as when he was younger, but it is something that he knows about and he tries very hard to control.
Does your temper get you into trouble?
You're probably the best one to answer that, does it? No. I mean, you and I have had arguments on occasions.
Did you meet enough men before you decided who to marry?
I mean, what do you mean by settle down? I mean, if you think that getting married, as far as we're concerned, is a case of going to work, come home, cook tea for hubby, going to bed, getting up, going to work, you're totally mistaken.
I like it when you shout at me.
I'm not sure you do, really.
I mean, I don't know.
What happened at 21? You asked me if I'd had enough experience with men before I got married. And I thought that was actually an insulting question, and I got very angry, and we actually stopped filming because of it. And if you look at the tapes of me at 21, I'm sitting and to all intents and purposes, I might as well have not been there. But I was really angry that you even thought you could get... You wouldn't have asked some of the other people in this programme that question. You will edit this programme as you see fit. I've got no control over that. You definitely come across as this is your idea of what you want to do and how you see us, and that's how you portray us. This one may be the first one that's about us rather than about your perception of us.
So how up to now have I got you wrong?
How have you got me wrong? The last one was very much based on the sympathy and the illness that I've got and what I may or may not be able to do. It should have been about what I can do, what I am doing, what I will do. Don't make that mistake, Mike. I am no way... I am down and I'm depressed about my illness, but I'm certainly not down and depressed about my life. And there are a lot of the times that I sit and I cringe when I watch those programmes. Not just for me, but for other people. You can ask me about Ian and you know full well I'm going to say to you, it's none of your business, I'm not talking about it. Now, there are other people in this programme that don't do that, that quite of their own free will and that will talk about their marriages or their divorces or the state of their lives. But I don't think you should be into that. I don't think you should even be asking that.
It's part of people's lives, and this programme is about people's lives.
No, yeah, but that's... See, to me, that's a part of my life that will never go on this programme. You know I'd married. My ex-husband never took part in this. My partner now will never take part in this.
But that's not my fault.
No, but that's because that's the way I want it. But it still doesn't stop you trying to get that information from me.
So what would you like to talk about? If you want me to represent you, we've talked a bit about the children.
What I want to do, what I hope to do. I just don't want that personal conversation.
OK, well, let's talk about that, what you'd hope to do and what you hope for the boys.
What I hope to do, I'd actually, I'd like to go back to school so that I can hold a conversation with anybody in the world, know what I'm talking about, so that I'm not stuck. Well, I know a little bit about that, but I don't really know enough. I'd love to know... Actually, I'd really love to start my education all over again.
My mum, because she got 5 girls, she had 7 years bad luck. That's why she's got 5 girls.
I'd like to be able to have a happy family. I mean, I know that's not possible to be happy all the time, but as much of the time that was possible.
I don't know what Susie's had, what Susie had that I haven't had. I mean, until I know that...
Are you different from what I should have expected at 7 and 14 and 21?
Maybe not enough, but I got it.
I think I'm actually more intelligent than you thought I would be. I have reached a level in my life that I'm happy with, and I enjoy being me. But I don't think you ever really expected me to turn out the way I have.
How was that, Lee?
If we did all love Jeffrey and we all want to marry him, yeah, I think I know the one that he likes best, and that's her.
I don't think I'd get married too early. I'd like to have a full life first and
like to enjoy
meet people
before
you can commit yourself to a family.
Marriage just means a different thing to me. I've still got my ideals about marriage. I don't know what it's all about.
Sue was 24 when she married Billy. They had 2 children, William and Catherine.
I think that to get married young, there must be things that you miss. You must miss that crucial stage of being yourself, because the minute you get married, you're no longer a single being, you're a partnership, and that should be the idea behind it.
By the time she was 35, she and Billy had divorced.
I've never sat down and thought, well, what was it? Was it this? Was it that? I just knew it wasn't working. I mean, there have been relationships when I could have settled, but they didn't feel quite right. So I've always come away and pulled away and just waited until the right one come along, if they ever do.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby?
At 42, when we filmed Sue in the karaoke bar, she brought Glenn along to watch her sing.
We've just met and things are going well, but now obviously things are going very well.
Is this love?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I mean, we've known each other for a long, long time, before the 7 years, and we've always liked each other.
It's good looking.
He's very good looking. He's not bad, is he? Everyone says he looks like Paul Weller. Whether that's true or not, especially now he's growing his hair.
Susan most of all likes Leslie from before. Yeah, do you see? She keeps changing her mind though. Yeah, I don't know which one really.
It's everything's not that cut and dried. It's not either career or family but it's what's in the middle. I mean, am I just going to carry on as I am now and end up on the shelf, or am I just going to get married? Could be any day.
I've been married and I've not got that urgency. Glenn, we sort of say maybe we will. We're engaged. We're committed. We've bought a house together, and to me that's a big commitment. Every house needs money spending on it when you move in. To have a wedding, you've got to put some cash into it.
When I got married, the primary reason was because I wanted to have a child. The two, to me, went together.
Have you and Glenn thought of having your own child?
Well, Glenn got with me when we got together, or I should say when I was in my 40s, and you don't have a baby when you've just started a relationship. I didn't want to do all that again. I would have loved to have had a baby because he would make a wonderful parent. But the timing was off.
So she's your baby?
She's my new baby, yeah. Yeah, my kids are my babies, but she's my new baby.
So
she's our baby, mine and Glenn's. She's a wonderful terrier. She's got such character.
What does she do?
Well, she watches TV, and with us, she likes got her own favourite programmes, And she adores Rolf Harris. Absolutely adores Animal Hospital. And if she's at the top of the house and the music comes on, she runs down the stairs and puts herself in front of the TV for Rolf Harris.
So the house looks nice. You pleased with it?
I am very pleased with it. It's a lovely step for us. We feel like we've got more space around us, and we've got to do everything inside, but we can build on it, and that's what we want. I've been promising to have a housewarming party since we moved in. We've been here 4 months now, so I thought it was about time we did that. So people are just starting to arrive now.
So you left the East End. Why?
Well, I've always wanted to move out, but you don't do that, or the opportunity isn't there when you're on your own with 2 kids. I wish I'd done it before. But it's timing. Now was the right time, obviously. And the East End has changed. It's changed a lot.
It was even prime time too. I had downtown.
Mum comes down to me. It's so easy for them. They can jump on a train, and they're with, just stations within walking distance. So it's worked out wonderfully well.
But some people are just born into rich families and they're lucky.
I don't see why they should have the luck when people have worked all their lives and haven't got half as much as what they have. It just don't seem fair.
So have you moved upper class now?
That's difficult to say. Upper class. I suppose it feels like that to me.
No, there ain't no food. That's going to be there.
Now you've got the sense of pride. You've got your own house, and I feel like I'm building for the future.
You're right, yeah.
I've been a single parent for a long while, and I've brought them up on my own, really, because Catherine was only 2 when Bill left. It's been extremely hard, and sometimes it's been very lonely.
I only had to have one filling, right? That was about the only thing that I had done.
William's, he's a computer addict. He works in the industry and he also constantly has a computer on indoors.
Smiley faces in the window.
He could have gone to university, and he knows that, and I know that, and I do regret that for him. But I've been there. I can just remember, you know, I didn't want to do that either. And Catherine's temping because she wants to do a bit of travelling next year. People say she's me reincarnated. I mean, she looks a bit like me, and her mannerisms are exactly like me. And she likes to enjoy herself.
Is that the IPA stuff? Nice.
To walk into a relationship with someone who's got 2 teenagers, it must have been very difficult for him. And they do clash occasionally. I absolutely hate it because I'm just an easygoing person and I don't like strife. They're doing things the way I've brought them up, which isn't the way that Glenn would like things to be done. So you've got to learn to live together in the same house. It'll always be a learning curve. I'm a peacemaker.
When the children were old enough to go to school, Sue went back to work and had a series of office jobs. She now helps run the MA courses in the legal faculty of the University of London.
I still work for the college, but we moved to central London. Now I sort of the main administrator for the programme instead of an assistant, you know, and I've got a couple of people that help me with that. Hey, could you fax that to Mary for me, please? Thanks.
So you like the responsibility?
Yeah, I love the responsibility. I think I was born for the responsibility. Yeah, I love it.
Well, I've never been abroad, but...
No, nor have
I know.
Oh, yeah, because you went on that cruise, didn't you?
Yeah.
Once a year, we go to Cornwall or Devon. We try to find a different spot every year and we just bring the dog. It's just such a lovely place. Every time you turn a corner, there's a different sight, there's a different... You just never know what you're going to find. Everything's just so beautiful. We'd both had childhood holidays here and good memories, and we decided to come back, and we've been coming ever since. It's nice for us just to be a couple for a week. When we retire, or maybe before if we get lucky, then this is the sort of place we'd like to come to. That little one there, right in the middle, nearest the beach, that would be ideal. Absolute perfect. The perfect place. Oh, that was good, eh?
Verstehen, verstehst, versteht, verstehst, verstehst, verstand.
Yeah, speak up. Fill up the gaps on the board down.
When he was 7, Bruce was at a preparatory boarding school. At 14, St Paul's in London.
They don't sort of enforce being upper class and things like that at St Paul's. You know, they suggest that you don't have long hair, and they do get it cut they teach you to be reasonably well-mannered, but not to sniff on the poorer people.
At 21, he was in his last year at Oxford reading maths.
You can show that this is irreducible. Then you do a transformation on this polynomial x equal to t plus 2.
Good, that's a nice way of doing it, particularly using Eisenstein down here. His test is very powerful.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
At 28, Bruce was teaching maths in East London.
Well, I'll go into Africa and try and teach people who are not civilised to be more or less good.
At 35, he was teaching in Sylhet in northern Bangladesh.
And I've also got the chance to learn a bit of Bangla, which is very difficult, not doing very well at.
Bangladesh, Bangladesh, Bangladesh,
Bangladesh,
Bangladesh,
Bangladesh.
Before you do anything, you have to make sure...
By 42, Bruce was back in the East End, running the maths department at a girls' school.
And then after 0 hours, you can see that it would be 60 litres. OK. Now you want to make this information...
At 49, he's teaching at St Albans, a large boys' independent school, which has girls in the 6th form.
I sing in the choir. That happens twice a week. On Mondays and Fridays we go over to the Abbey, because in the early days the school was in the Abbey, going back to 948.
948?
Yes, so the head quite likes to say we're in our 3rd millennium, you know.
So the school's over 1,000 years old?
Yes, in one form or another.
Now you have to make x a subject to this equation. You've got to get x on its own. So what's the first thing we do?
I multiply both sides by 3.
You don't multiply by 3. Divide by
both sides by 3.
Okay.
Tell me then what's exciting about teaching here for you.
There is a higher academic level to teach. And then you can see pupils at a more developed level, that flash of recognition, and then engendering their love of the subject that I had at their age. There is a class society, and I think public schools may help its continuance.
So you're in the lead, you see, because DSE Cabs has got...
Has it been a kind of compromise of political principles for you, this?
Well, I would say, you know, have a million angels in front of every teacher who's prepared to slog away to an inner city comprehensive. Make way, make way. This is somebody who's prepared to turn up each day and do that job.
Where's the graph? 60. Right, so when the tank is full after 0 hours...
That motto, water weareth away a stone by dripping upon it, not by smashing it, was a sort of motto for teaching, that you kept on teaching them, and that eventually it would get through and the pupils would change and learn and develop and so on. But I think in the end the reverse happened. That water dripping on me wore me away. I just thought, I don't think I can do this till I'm 60, and therefore I'll have to do something else.
Do your old friends give you a hard time about what you've done?
They certainly do. They absolutely do. They say, oh, you know, have we joined the Tory party, the golf club, the Masons, you know, you're driving a much better car than you used to, and so on.
Well, my girlfriend is in Africa, and I don't think I'll have another chance of seeing her again.
You got any girlfriend?
No, not yet. I'm sure it will come, but not yet.
I mean, I do think a lot of people think too much about it.
I think I would very much like to become involved in a family, my own family for a start. That's a need that I feel I ought to fulfil and would like to fulfil and would do it well. Yes, I haven't got married or whatever. And I suppose, you know, that would have been something which I hoped had happened.
Well, you're getting on a bit. Are you getting worried?
Well, not particularly. I mean, I'm always optimistic. I mean, who knows who I might meet tomorrow.
And in the middle of a conversation about something completely different, he just asked if I'd like to marry him. And if I hadn't been listening carefully, I would have missed it completely.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
Is this a beetroot or something?
I think it's just a weed.
Do you enjoy gardening?
Well, under Penny's directions, you know, I'll do whatever she asks me. I don't know what to do here, what order to do things in. She and her mother are quite good at this.
So you're the labourer?
Yes, I'm the unpaid labourer, the serf, the feudal vassal or whatever. But Penny will give you the correct medieval terms.
We don't argue very much.
Not really. I mean, we haven't really had a sort of full-blown row.
No, our arguments sort of tend to be 2 sentences, and I go off and sulk for 24 hours.
How are you doing, dear?
Fine, thank you.
And I think the one positive influence on him, I've stopped him apologising. When I first knew him, he kept saying sorry, and apologised for all sorts of things that there was no need to apologise for. Maybe it's just because we weren't married then.
You see, I was winning you over then.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you're the world's greatest cook.
It's only pasta. You wouldn't think you could go far.
But if you have emotional issues, will you talk about them?
Well, I have the usual male reticence about that kind of thing.
Great team.
You know, if Penny really wanted to give me a hard time, she'd have to say, talk about your feelings.
You know, that would be worse than a 24-hour sulk. You know.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know whether they're going to move any of them.
We may have children. I don't know. I mean, if in 7 years' time or so we're living in a slightly bigger house with a young family, that would be nice. I mean, I don't want to pin all my hopes on it and nothing happens. We are quite old. I can see bringing up, say, teenage children when in your 50s might be a bit strange.
Come on then, Henry, get on.
Is it more tiring than you thought?
I don't think until you're doing it you realise how sleep deprived you get and how totally exhausted you are all the time for several years. I think that came as a rather a shock.
Well, sometimes I go to bed at 8:30,
Yes.
which is ridiculous. In fact, I sometimes go to bed before Henry and George.
Looks like his father, doesn't he?
George has got the cheekbones that run in Bruce's family.
And what have I got?
That's hard to answer, darling.
We're at my first school, where I was from about 5 to 8, and this is where I boarded for 3 years. I mean, I can remember being happy there. I can remember also being miserable because I can remember crying.
Squad steady!
You know, I always seem to be beaten. I never used to understand why.
You were here because, what, your parents were...
My parents were separated and were divorced, and just to give me a stable place to be and be educated. It was a solution to all those problems.
My heart's desire is to see my daddy, who's 6,000 miles away.
I did miss contact with my father, and all I say is a joke to Penny, you know, time to send them boarding, as I was. And she says over my dead body, which is... but I wouldn't want that either.
5 years ago, the family moved away from the East End to be near Bruce's new school.
It's very quiet, it's child-friendly, and it just feels very safe, and that's really important when you've got small children, that the area feels safe.
And what can you give them that you didn't have?
Contact with a father that is loving, and that they can realise that and show that love to other people, and realise when they're letting both themselves and me down. You know, that could be a sort of guiding light for them.
Do you want any more children?
Well, Bruce was originally talking about a cricket team, but he's got his opening batsman, and that's, I think, is going to be his lot, frankly.
I want you to play tomorrow. I'm not going to drop you from sarcasm, all right? Okay.
I run one of the junior teams here, the under-13s, and there'll be nearly 200 boys there doing that on a Saturday rather than other things that could waylay them. So it's that combination of playing within a team and the ability to back each other up and form friendships that's such a nice thing.
At weekends, Bruce plays village cricket.
We don't really mind who wins and loses. We obviously prefer to win. And, you know, we go on tour every year, so we go down to Devon. You know, have such a nice bunch of mates, and I've known some of them for 25 years. You can play it at a reasonable level till you're in your 60s.
And what about your batting skills?
I'm mainly a bit of a slogger, so I tend to bat down the order 6, 7, 8. It can be brief, but the last time I played I got 50. Okay, from their hiding place in the bushes, William...
Do you have fears for the future?
Personally, I'm kind of worried that the boys will turn out all right. I hope they avoid drugs. To see them sleeping or carry them around is just fantastic, and just the smell of them and the look of them is just... You just want to protect them from everything that's harmful to them.
When you look back at yourself at 7, can we see you now?
I can't really recognise myself. He looks a little bit lost and a little bit sad, and I think
I'm quite sort of surprised to be sort of contented and reasonably happy.
Do you have a dream?
Well, I'd probably like to have played international cricket, but I just wasn't good enough. You know, one's dreams go and the day-to-day living of ordinary life and family life takes over. I think we just sort of live without our dreams.
I don't like the big boys hitting us and a prefect sending us out for nothing.
When he was 7, Paul was in care in a children's home in London.
Were you happy at the children's home in England?
We didn't mind that really, because we didn't know what was going on, because we were a bit young then.
Well, as far as I know, my mother and father they separated originally, I think. They eventually got divorced. I went to the boarding school for 1 year and then we immigrated to Australia.
Paul settled with his father and stepmother in a suburb of Melbourne.
What mark has it left on you, the fact that you were brought up within a bad marriage?
The only thing I can say that I think might have come from that is just my lack of confidence and being able to show my feelings, really, I suppose.
Do you like to get married, Paul? Tell me why not.
I don't like say you had a wife, say you had to eat what they cooked you, and say I don't like greens, well I don't.
I know I prefer to be alone, really.
I can't say I don't want to get married, because I think I do. But I want to be happily married, you know, and therefore I want to make sure, I think.
What was it that you fell in love with? What is it about him?
His helplessness, I suppose. It was the motherly instinct in me to pick him up and cuddle him, and he's also very good looking, I think, but he doesn't agree with me. And in the summer he's got this cute little bum in shorts.
I mean, I can tell quite a few stories here, but the one that really irritates me the most is when we have an argument, he says, "That's it, leave me." And I say, "Fine, all right, I will one day." We had our 20th wedding anniversary this last Christmas, just before Christmas.
Which is the life sentence.
Yeah. Everyone reckons that we should be out of jail by now.
To a certain extent, we started thinking, well, do we really know each other now?
Mm.
Because you just get in the humdrum of going to work, coming back home,
running kids here and
kids here and there, and I don't think you mean to, but you probably stop thinking about each other a lot.
I find it hard to express emotion most of the time. Although I'm getting on top of that more now, you know. I mean, just a simple thing to say to sort of Susan, you know, I love you, something like that. I mean, I can tell you about it, but I really haven't been able to say it freely to Sue, you know. It's a bit hard to talk about. I did end up having to get a bit of help, and it wasn't directly due to our relationship. It started at work, unfortunately, which brought my self-esteem down, which tended to affect everything else. And I was just very fortunate that I saw a local doctor, and with her help I started coming back to normal, thinking properly. I mean, I was feeling a little bit worried about the relationship because I felt like I hadn't progressed, I was going backwards, and I mean, I still believe that. I was thinking that, why would Susan want to be with someone as sounds funny, but as boring as me? I mean, because there was nothing there. I mean, what do I do?
How do I say it? It was a shock that he got that low and that he doubted the relationship, because one thing I've always known is that Paul's never doubted his love for me, you know. It's always been there, and I've never doubted it either.
Did the physical side of your marriage suffer?
I think it did. I think it did, really.
For a little while. But we promised ourselves when we first got married that we'd never stop, you know, touching or, you know, being affectionate towards each other, and in front of the children. We've always been, and even now with the children, we still embrace a lot, both Katie and Robert. I mean,
Katie will sometimes say, "Mother, stop it."
I was going to be a policeman, but I thought how hard it would be to join in.
I just haven't made up my mind yet. I was going to be a phys ed teacher, but
one of the teachers told me that you had to get up into university.
At 21, Paul was a junior partner in a firm of bricklayers. By 28, he'd gone out on his own as a subcontractor.
I think when I started work for myself, things were looking good for me because it was out of school, something I was very enthusiastic about. But I was chasing the dangling carrot, but never got there. Because I mean, really, I'm a worker and not a businessman.
By the time he was 42, Paul was doing factory work, making signs for a plastics company.
What's the future for you at work, do you think?
Well, I mean, the job's still there. I've had talks with them about whether they were ushering me out the door, and they say they're not. Not that I'm that old, but it's a bit of worry about getting a full-time job with my skill levels.
Sue had been a hairdresser for most of her working life. But at 49, she has a new career as an occupational therapist in a retirement home.
You know, you might be in your 40s and getting older, but you still have a lot to add, and you can learn to go in a different direction. You know, I call this my sea change.
Do you have ambitions?
Not really now. I mean, I've been in this job 10 years and never asked for a pay rise. That's just what I've always been like.
Has it affected home life at all?
It has affected a little bit because I'm not there at home as much as I used to be when Paul got home.
It can be, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, it can be quite startling. You get home and you think, there's no one here.
When I've been here for 30 years to be home too.
It's really different.
By the time they were 28, Paul and Sue had 2 children, Katie and Robert. Katie did well at school and got a place at university to study archaeology.
There are photos of the dig in Cyprus that I went on, and we were digging in Bronze Age tombs that are around the village.
I mean, you're the first person in the family to go to university. Was it a struggle for you?
It was a bit, because I had to do it all by myself. I had nobody to really help me because Mum and Dad couldn't help me with my essays or things like that.
What does university mean?
I'm pretty happy with Katie, and I'm not having a go at Rob, but I've got fears for Robert because he's struggling a little bit.
Robert is trained as a car mechanic.
He's got reading and writing difficulties, and I mean, he's coping with that. I mean, we'd like to see him be a little bit more proactive with doing literacy course now he's a bit older. But just day-to-day troubles of making ends meet with money, it's always hard.
Yeah, he went nuts at me for using the phones. No more fucking backyards, you cunts should fucking do this all the time.
What's Robert got that you gave him?
Moodiness. I think Robert's even a little bit more moody than what I've ever been. He's not your average relaxed 21-year-old.
What you doing? I mean, we only had 2 children because we thought that we couldn't love any more children as much as we loved our 2, and now we've got our 2 grandchildren and we just love them.
You love them as much, you really do.
Yeah.
With Rob and Stacey, we don't really know how long they're going to last for, and I keep my fingers crossed they will last. We can only hope that they work at it like we do.
That's better. Thank you.
In their 20s, Paul and Sue sold up, bought an old van and travelled across Australia.
I think it brought us closer together because we really got to know each other and relied on each other so much.
One of the most important things we ever did with our children was spend time with them, and particularly when you've got holidays. To actually, which a lot of parents do, go camping with them.
We've been camping there now. We've actually worked it out for 19 years because Robert was 2 when we first went there.
So does this beat the old van?
This is the Hilton compared to that old van.
So have you got any plans for any big trips now the children have gone?
I think we'd like to do something again, but
yeah,
you need to have the finances to support yourself for a few months.
And the monitor's up in the washroom sending us out when there's no talking. No, I wasn't talking today.
I'm more at peace around the horses and the animals. I can be upset, I can be on edge, come down to the horses within 3 or 4 minutes of being here and I've forgotten everything. So it does calm me down.
So last time I came you had the horses. What's happened to the horses?
Well, we gave Poinkin away to some people because it was a little bit expensive and also the fun went out of it basically.
How do you get that peace now?
Well, I think I got it through running.
Well, most Sunday mornings we go training when Paul's doing marathons. When he's got to run great distances, I follow along with the bike as a bit of support and I take drinks for him so he doesn't get dehydrated. Something we can do together, so we do that.
We're not doing any great distances, we just... I've got an injured knee, I'm just trying to build it up so it gets used to running again. I did the Host City Marathon, it was my first marathon I did. Up in Sydney, they trialled the Olympic course and it was open to anyone. So I figured if you were going to do a marathon, that'd be the one to do. Nearly died, but I enjoyed it. Well, happiness to me is a love for life and a love for people.
When you look back on the marriage and the family, any regrets?
You know, we wish we'd had more children, but then who knows if we'd had them, we might have gone no too many.
We might be both in the nut house.
Well, without a family, it's, you know, what have you got? Nothing. Really, well, that's the way I feel.
More than work, more than achievement.
Yeah. You know, like what you've got nothing unless you've got family and your health anyway. Yeah. You'd be awfully lonely without family, I think.
Tommy, do you have any boyfriends, Susie?
Yes.
Tell me about him.
He lives up in Scotland, and I think he's 13.
Have you got any boyfriends, Susie? What is your attitude towards marriage for yourself?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't given it a lot of thought because I'm very, very cynical about it. But then, you know, you get a certain amount of faith restored in it. But I mean, I got friends and their parents are happily married, and so it does put faith back into you. But me, myself, I'm very cynical about it.
When I last saw you at 21, you were nervous, you were chain-smoking, you were uptight, and now you seem happy. What's happened to you over these last 7 years?
I suppose Rupert. I'll give you some credit.
I'm now chain-smoking.
I think, you know, you can't just walk through a marriage and think it's, you know, once you get married, it's all going to be roses and everything forever. You know, you have... well, everybody has their rows, but we've never yet had a row that we haven't managed to sort out. It's very hard to actually say what it is that goes on between a couple. It's either there or it's not.
We've been married 27 years now. Any marriage has its ups and downs, but somehow, whether it's through luck or determination, we've worked through the difficult times. He's just always been there for me, and I know I can rely on him, and, you know, he's my punch bag in the same way as I'm probably his. But it works.
When I get married, I'd like to have 2 children.
I'm not very children-minded at the moment. I don't know if I ever will be.
What do you think about them?
Oh, I don't like babies.
At 28, Susie had 2 sons, Thomas and Oliver. By the time she was 35, Susie had a daughter, Laura.
Mummy? Yeah? Laura wants you.
So what are the children up to?
Tom is living in London, having graduated and now working and living in London. Ollie is working and living at home. And Laura is doing her AS levels. It was difficult when they first started to move away. All those memories of the children growing up. It's like a closed chapter now, because you can't bring those days back. I think what I admire about the young today is their confidence, and that's what I wished I'd had. They just seem to take life and deal with it.
What sort of things do you do?
Ride, swim, play tennis, ping pong. I might play croquet. Something like that.
I did have a privileged childhood, but you have to take responsibility for your life somewhere along the line, and some people take responsibility earlier than others. I was just a bit later taking it. Maybe now is the first time that I actually feel happy within my own skin. It's taken me a long time to do it, but I actually feel that I can accept decisions, wrong decisions possibly, that I've made in the past. I'm comfortable with it now. I can live with it.
So what's it been like for you being in these films?
Very difficult, very painful. Not an experience I've enjoyed in any way. It's every 7 years it throws up issues that I guess we all learn to put into compartments between the 7 years, and then it all gets opened up again, and it's difficult. We were all landed in it, and most of us have, for whatever reason, chosen to go through with it. I'm not an outgoing, confident person. I like my privacy. I don't like however many million people picking over my life.
And is that what they do you think?
I think for a couple of minutes, yes, and then it's yesterday's news. And people seem to read into what they think we all think, which I find very hurtful, really, because most of them come up with things that they think which is nothing like what's going through my head.
Actually, she might be all right.
What's the point of people sort of going into people's lives and saying, why do you like this and why don't you? I don't see any point in it.
So have you had enough of being in the film?
I mean, who knows in 7 years whether it'll be done again, but this is me saying hopefully I'll reach my half century next year and I shall bow out.